सन्मात्रमद्वयमनामयचिच्छरीरं तत्त्वं पदार्थनिगमामृतबोधरूपं कोऽहं विचारमहसैव च बोधनीयम् आनन्दमात्मरमणं शरणं प्रपद्ये।
यस्यान्तर्नादिमध्यं न हि करचरणं नाम गोत्रं न सूत्रं नो जातिर्नैव वर्णा न भवति पुरुषो न नपुंसं न च स्त्री नाकारं नो विकारं न हि जनिमरणं नास्ति पुण्यं न पापं तत्त्वं नो तत्त्वमेकं सहजसमरसं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्तेव सदृशिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रम् आनन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिमीडे। वेदान्तार्थविभासकाय यतये शान्ताय सन्न्यासिने नानावादिनगेन्द्रसङ्घपवये योगीन्द्रवन्द्याय च मोहध्वान्तदिवाकराय भगवत्पादाभिधां बिभ्रते तस्मै भाष्यकृते नमोस्तु सततं पूर्णाय बोधात्मने। अपारसच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयं। चूडोत्तंसितचन्द्रचारुकलिकां चञ्जत्शिखाभास्वरो लीलादग्धविलोलकामशलभश्रेयो दशाग्रे स्फुरन् अन्तःस्फूर्जतपारमोहतिमिरप्राग्भारमुच्चाटयन् चेतः सद्मनियोगिनां विजयते ज्ञानप्रदीपो हरः। योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयत्यखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नाम् अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान् नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम्। Next verse, the 20th verse, we have already delved deep into the idea of heart in both sense. One is what Bhagavan speaks as heart, hridayam, is nothing but the self. Someone asked Bhagavan, what is your central teaching? Bhagavan said, my center itself is my central teaching. Bring the mind to the center. It is wandering about in the orbit or outside. bring it back, make it abide in the self. That is the central teaching. The highest truth, which the Upanishads call as Brahma, it is already shining forth in the heart as I. Turn the mind towards that. Absorb the mind in that center. And become established there. This is the Ekashloki. Hridaya kuhara madhye kevalam brahmamatram hi ahamahamiti sakshad atmarupena bhati. That verse we have already seen. The next shloka is also almost like that. The Lord whose home is the interior of the heart lotus is extolled as Lord of the cave. In Sanskrit is called guhēśaṉeṇa. This shloka comes from Kannada, Prabhuliṇga Līla. Bhagavan has translated it. So it's called guhēśaṉeṇa. Subramanya is also called guha. If by force of practice, the feeling I am he, I am the Lord of the cave becomes firmly established, as firmly as your present notion that you are the ego, and thus you stand forth as that Lord of the cave, then your body idea will vanish. This is the essence of the shloka. These are all actually translations, not the direct verses composed by Bhagavan. Idayamalark guhaiyahamā in the heart lotus. yilahiṟaiyē guhēśaṉeṇa vēttap. The essence is that Ishvara, God, whom you are seeking, is already there in you as your very being. From him alone the mind arises, the prana arises, the senses arises, the I thought, feeling, everything happens in that center. So that I am, that aham, that pure consciousness in the heart. When the mind becomes still, you experience it. What do they say in Bible? Which Bhagavan very often used to quote. No. Be still. Be still and know that I am God. That is what. So, Nishala tattve jivan mukti. As Shankaracharya says, when the mind becomes still, quiet, liberation is your very nature. Freedom is the very nature of the self. You just know it, that's all. Recognize it. So, Ishvara sarvabhutanam hriddeshe arjuna tishtati. In Gita, Krishna says, while concluding the teaching, he says, Arjuna, Ishvara, God, is sitting in the heart of every creature. And from there he is running the show. Brahmayan sarvabhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Like what they call the giant wheel or the potter's wheel. That is the yantra. Normally, like the potter's wheel is being made to rotate. Like that from within, he is driving, he is the driver. He is the driver. So the moment you know that he is the driver, you stop side seat driving. Problem is that, we sit in the side seat. And you imagine that you are driving. Actually, he is the driver. Ishvara is the driver. The body belongs to him. He is driving the chariot of the body. The Upanishad says the body is the chariot and the self is the traveler. Jiva is the traveler. Ishvara is the charioteer. The mind is the reins. The senses are the horses. And the objects is the road through which it has to run. Atmanam rathinam viddhi, shariram rathamevatu, buddhim tu sarathim vidyat, manaf pragraham evacha indriyani hayanahuhu, vishayansteshu gocharanam, atmendriya manoyuktam bhuktetyahuru manishinaha. This is the Kathopanishad mantra. So, அப்படியே பட்டேன் குஹேஷன் என ஏத்தப்பட்டோன் நிதம் அனைய குஹேஷன்யான். Constantly identifying with that self. Means what? Every day in deep sleep, the mind takes a dip into the absolute. There is elaborate discussion in the Upanishad. What happens in deep sleep? Brahma Sutra also, there are sutras which says whether there is ignorance in deep sleep or the mind is merging in Brahma. What do you feel like? You should not quote. Eh? What do you feel like? In sleep, what happens? You are ignorant or you are merging in God. I am not able to hear. Yes. The conclusion is, the Upanishad says, absolute merging with Brahman is happening. No doubt. No body, no mind, not even the knower. In Gita there is a shloka where Krishna says, I am same to all, but who worships me, he experiences me. Samoham sarvabhuteshu. I don't have any partiality. The Upanishad also says whether he is a good man, saint, criminal, whoever he may be, when he enters that state, he becomes sane. Some poet, I don't know whether it is Shakespeare or Shelley, somewhere, Bhagavan quotes the deep sleep, there he says, the great leveler. He makes everyone same. There are differences in the waking state in dream, but deep sleep, no difference. You have to, every day the soul enters heaven and comes back without knowing, says the Upanishad. Aharahar gacchanti na viduhu. Every day you go there and come up back without knowing. Although that is happening, see, nobody needs jnanam in deep sleep. Because in deep sleep there is no suffering also. There is no shoka, dukkha. Every day you wake up. If you wake up from deep sleep, what will you feel? How do you feel? Want to go back. That is the feeling. Whatever may be waiting for you in this waking state, a little more time to be free of this body. See, you have to deeply contemplate on that feeling. Suppose you have to wake up by 4 o'clock. Suddenly you wake up from deep, profound sleep by 2 o'clock. And you see, look at the timepiece. 2 more hours to sleep. Bless it and go back. One moment, just wash clean the world, body, mind, ego, everything gone. Videha prakriti laya. As Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, the body idea is still there. With that, the mind is merging. So, deep sleep, you become one with that, but when you wake up, you are estranged from that state. And you don't need jnanam in deep sleep. You don't need anything, because you cannot smuggle any sorrow into that state. But here, in the waking state, to regain that state consciously. See, from one dimension we will say, there is absolute merging in deep sleep. From another dimension, with the same force we can say that deep sleep is an obstacle. Sleep is an obstacle for spiritual realization. Because it is a state. You can never... Deep sleep is never now. That is the problem with this. Deep sleep is never now. It is always few hours back. If you can have deep sleep now, means what? Conscious deep sleep means what? Jagrat Samadhi. Turiya. Yes. The fourth, where you recognize the self by contemplating on the deep sleep state. See, that is why Bhagavan never recommended death experience. He never said you should have death experience. Because the same thing is given to you in deep sleep. That is why many places, hundreds of places in talks, he speaks about that state. He says, you contemplate on that state. That is the most authentic state where everyone experiences bodiless, egoless existence. There Buddhism and Vedanta will get reconciled. Buddhism will say shunyata. He will say, what can we say? He can say yes. Vedanta says purnata, yes. Shunyata means what? I am not there. No I. Purnata means what? If it is Shunyata, nobody will desire to go there. That is the argument of Vedanti. You want to go because it is so enriching. All the pleasures of the world you keep in this side, and that non-existence of deep sleep on other side, you choose this. The so-called non-existence, Shunyata, there is something which is deeply fulfilling. Because that is my self. That is my self. And that state is called guha, heart. Because from waking state it looks like guha, like cave. The mind enters some cave, sleep. Consciously in waking state, trace your mind. Guide your mind into that cave. See that non-existence, that bodilessness, that mindlessness, egolessness is here now behind your awareness. It is in that adhisthana, that substratum, this I thought arises and mind blossoms, body, I, you, he, all these interactions come. So trace back the I thought and make the mind the cognizing force to touch that deepest core. You can touch that here, then you can see nirvana. Nirvana means just blowing out. Just as every day in deep sleep, that inner being blows out the body, the mind, the ego. Like that in samadhi, you have that blowing out. Just like a camphor ending. Like that, there is that ending of the illusion of body, mind, prana, ego, everything. You know that your real being is constant. There is no I thought, there is no jiva bhava, there is no doubt, there is no illusion, there is absolute profound peace. So this is hridaya kamala or guhai. Here Bhagavan uses the word hridaya kamala, the heart lotus. It is also called guha. There Atma, Ishvara is shining forth. Esha sarveshvaraha, esha sarvajnaha, esha untaryami, esha yonihi sarvasya prabhavapyayohi bhutanam. As the Mandukya Upanishad says. Where you merge, you just imagine that every day in deep sleep you are merging with Ishvara. The very thought is enlivening. Enthralling it is. You feel, oh, deep sleep means what? Nidra samadhi sthitihi. Slowly, slowly, slowly that awareness will seep into you. So it becomes very sacred. That is why there is a tradition that when the traditional sadhu sannyasis, when they wake up in the morning, there is a tradition in the Orthodox circle that people go and do arati. They, even before he takes bath, they will do arati, and that is called, in some tradition it is called Vishwarupa Darshana. Some tradition they call it as Vaikuntha Darshana, Kailasa Darshana and all. Because once you become conscious of your real being, sleep also is samadhi. You can see in children, when they wake up, small babies, when they wake up, it will be like sunrise. It's one of the most beautiful sights you can see, a child waking up. And when it goes sleep also, slowly, 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 like a bud closing itself and going to sleep. If you have not seen it, don't waste that. See that. Very fresh. While you grow old and someone looks at you, vomiting will come. Because it's all dreaming. The mind very rarely touches that realm where there is no dream, where there is no matter. Shankaracharya says in his Sadachara Anusandhanam, there is one verse where he says, the state where no sleep or no waking, that sandhi, interval period, about which Bhagavan speaks, that is the only place where you are not a non-vegetarian. Because in all other state, you are niramisham. He says it is not, no amisha there, no meat there, no body idea, no body idea. It is pure consciousness there. Pure Brahma Sampatti. So that is why Bhagavan gave some clues. The state where you have woken up and you have not come to this waking state. That is the sandhisthana, the interval period where you have an inclination to go back. You have the taste of that profundity of that deep sleep just flooding into the waking state, where you want to go back. And with this, that is why in Brahma Muhurta, when you wake up, so much research now, modern psychiatry also, they are also doing about sleep. That REM sleep, this sleep, that sleep, all. At least they are telling most of us are not sleeping. We are just lying down and making others, disturbing others sleep by snoring. But the real sleep, actually it needs sleep. See, even to sleep you need spiritual practice. If you can have a real dip into that state, the heart, which Bhagavan here calls heart, a dip there, the mind will come out refreshed. And to have such a sleep, your waking state should be pure. Otherwise it is not possible. See, our everyday life is more important than some special day or special life. In the Vedic tradition they say nityanusthana. Nityanusthana. Everyday life. From morning to night. That is the Vedic life. You wake up until you go to sleep. This is very precious. If you can spiritualize that time is Ishvara. Time is Ishvara. If you can spiritualize every moment, then that will seep into the deep sleep state also. The cognizing power will be awake. That is samadhi. So, you have to contemplate on that deep sleep state. Let the intellect go and knock and knock and knock at the door. Then that avarana, that veiling will be removed. Tadaf prakāśāvarana kṣayah. As Patanjali Yoga Sutra says, that veil which covers the light within will be removed. Then you recognize that your very being is profound peace, shanti. And that peace is me, not this individual I. Nidam guhēśaṉyā. See, when you have that state, the teacher, if you are lucky to be with the teacher tells you that is you. Adivayani tattvamasi. Don't identify anymore with this person, which others are seeing. That ego I is not you. That from which the ego I arises like a bubble and explodes. Every moment it rises, it explodes. It rises, it explodes. And that ocean of peace, it is your real nature. That is you. ṉeṇuñcōham bhāvaṇai. Bhagavan says, this is soham bhavana. I am that. I am that. That is my real nature. This is what happened to Bhagavan also. He just said, am I the body? No. The body dies. It will be burnt. Then who am I? Am I this ego? He traced the ego and found out that the ego vanishes and something else arises from the depth, and I am that. Determined over sakshatkara. As you identify with the body, dehatma jnanavat jnanam dehatma jnana badhagam atmanyeva bhavedyasya anichannapi vimuchyate. Naishkarmya Siddhi. Sureshwaracharya says, as you identify with the body, very naturally, I am this person. Like that, when you identify with the self, then even if you don't want liberation, you will be liberated. Dehatma jnanavat jnanam dehatma jnana badhagam. Like dehatma jnanam, atma jnanam arises very powerfully. Atmanyeva bhavedyasya. When his identity is to the Atman, anichannapi vimuchyate. Even though he says, I don't want liberation, he will be liberated. Many great sages, saints have told, we don't want liberation. People say, see how great, he has already achieved it. Then he says, I don't want liberation. His liberation, nothing can shake. Simply by saying that I don't want liberation, he is not going to get bound. There are many I have told like that, unless the whole world get liberated, I will not get liberated. These are all words. Because liberation is what? It is the nature of the self. Atma Swarupam. Atma Swarupa Jnanam. So when you know the Atma Swarupa, you are free. That is why for Bhagavan, you know, it was very light, very simple. His Jnanam was the Swarupa of Atma is liberated. So you are also liberated. And somebody said, Bhagavan, then what am I doing? Pretending. Bhagavan said, you are pretending what to do. You don't want to give up that pretension. Okay, because you find joy in pretension, pretend. It's a play. Vyasa says this samsara is a krida. You will get bored with it one day. Then you will decide, I don't want. See, in our childhood days, cricket became very famous. But to buy a stump or cricket bat or ball, it will be very costly. So one rich family boy will be there, he will buy everything. And all of us will play. And you know how much time the game will go? Till he gets out. The moment he becomes out, he will take everything and go home. So our game is also like that. The moment we find sorrow, suffering there, see, that is it, you know. Varanasi Subbalakshmi Amma, she was a widow, she had a lot of trouble in her life. She told Bhagavan, I don't know, so much of things have happened in my life. And I am clearly understanding the truth also. But why the peace is not happening, the abundance is not happening? Bhagavan said, because you have not had enough of pain. See, this pain, you need not have too much pain, a little more. Then there is a Tamil song which says, the moment your hand gets burnt, you will drop the pot. Chatti chuttuvada, kai vittadar. So the moment you have the pain, you see suffering, you no more want to identify with the body or mind. In Bhagavata, there is a story of Dattatreya, that Jivan Mukta wandering about, and one day he looks at the sky, and there he sees a eagle flying, a kite flying in the sky, and hundreds of crows attacking it. So it will go and sit on the top of a pillar, crows will go there. Then it will go and sit on a tree, crows will go there. Wherever it goes, the crows are chasing that eagle. And then he suddenly saw that eagle dropped something from its beak. And all the crows swooped down. It was carrying a piece of meat. And the moment it dropped the meat, the crows also left the eagle. Seeing this, what they call satori, something like that happened to him. He said, "Oh, this is a great lesson. As long as you are holding to the meat, that is this body, sorrows will hunt you like the crows. Sorrow will hunt you like the crows. The moment you leave association with this body, the moment you say, I am not the body, when that understanding happens, sorrow will go with it. It will no more trouble you." So this is the lesson. Thus this story of Dattatreya, Bhagavan very often used to quote. 24 gurus, not one guru. From every guru he learns. Everywhere he learns about how to make himself free. Because the self is eternally free. You need a lesson from every corner to unwind, to leave, to renounce. This is what the Upanishad calls as sannyasa yoga. It is not sannyasa. It is not outer sannyasa like ochre robe or tonsuring the head. That is our destiny. If it happens for someone, well and good. But if it is not happening, then also you need that spirit. Without that spirit, jnana will not become steady. Slowly, slowly moving away from everything that is not the self. Leaving. That also you need lesson. Somebody asked Kanchi Paramacharya, ஞானத்தை அடைய என்ன பண்ணணும்? In Tamil he asked, what should I do to attain ஞானம்? And Swami said, என்ன பண்ணணும் கேட்காதே, எதை விடணும் கேளு. He said, don't ask what you should do, ask me what you should leave. So there is a research in the Upanishad, what is greatest tapas? Exploring many things like truth, brahmacharya, food control, many things. At last, the Upanishad comes to the conclusion that greatest of austerities is renunciation. Nyasa yesham tapasam atiriktamāhu. It is the supreme tapas where you live. You become absolutely free of things, identity, association, possessiveness. And the greatest possession is I, this me. If you can leave that, become free, that is the highest tapas. So this is to abide in that egoless state is tapas. So thus by practice, again and again abiding there, if you can remain as that inner being, the real self, then this body idea ignorance will be completely removed. cidaiyuḍaṉā nān enum aviddai seṅgadirō cidaiyu. This body which is Chidayudal means which ultimately gets burnt in the cremation ground. Udal, non-ṉeṇumaviddai. This body I am, this ego, seṅgadirō ṉediriruḻpōḥ, like the darkness in front of sun, will completely go. Cidaiyum, maṉṭṛē, that very moment, that very day, that very moment, the moment you recognize I am the Atma, I am the self, this body idea disappears. So this is the idea of this 20th shloka. So I think this is enough now. Half. திருப்பியும் கண்ணாடி வந்துடுச்சு முன்னால். அதுக்கு முன்னே அதில் எது எல்லாம் உதிக்கிறது நிற்கிறது அடங்கிறது அதை அடுத்த இதில் பார்க்கலாம். யதோ மமாத்மா பவசி த்வமேவ ததோ ந வாச்யம் மம கிஞ்சிதஸ்தி யதா தவேஷ்டம் குரு மாம் ததைவ த்வாம் ஆத்மநாதம் ரமணம் பஜ.